You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold. Today we welcome in John Marko, principal, attorney, and founder of Marko Law in Detroit, Michigan, a personal injury, employment law, and civil rights attorney, helping innocent victims pursue their legal rights. How are you?
Good, man. Good to be here. Thanks for having me, Benny.
And I got to tell you, I believe you really are helping those clients because I went to your website today and I loved it. It was great, man. You're inside their homes. You go to see your clients. You spend a lot of time with them. I think there was one video where you're wearing like a nice flannel shirt or whatever, just casual and talking to these people. So I believe it. I believe that you're helping some people out there. You have some big cases. So congrats on your success. And, welcome into the show, man. I'm looking forward to going through your story a little bit.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So give us some background growing up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So when did you know you wanted to be a lawyer?
Oh, man, ever since I was a little kid, Benny. So I grew up in Grand Rapids, which it's a smaller Michigan town. It's on the west side. It's very conservative.
So Grant, let me just tell you, and this is I won't interrupt, but
yeah,
I've actually, it's oddly enough, I've been out to Michigan a few times, and one of my good friends from Portland, Maine, where I grew up, got married in Grand Rapids, Michigan, at Thornapple Point.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We had the party at the Hilton, and we had a blast, man. We went to Kalamazoo in a limo to the bachelor party. All right, so anyway, we'll go back.
I know why you went to Kalamazoo.
Oh, do you?
Everybody in Grand Rapids
didn't know at the time. They just took me. I don't know. So, So tell us about growing up in Grand Rapids.
Yeah, I mean, it was a conservative place, relatively speaking. And I grew up kind of poor. Went there. I went to Catholic school, but I had long hair. I was a class clown, and I actually got kicked out of Catholic high school.
Really?
And yeah, my freshman year. And so I had to go to inner city school, and that kind of, at the time it was scary and horrible, but looking back, it was one of the best shaping moments of my life because I was a minority. I went from being, we had maybe one African American in our Catholic high school to going to being where I was a minority, where it was, largely minority populations. And it was great because I got to see the other side. I made a lot of friends, and it kind of gave me a different perspective on what the other side's like and how other people are treated differently. And, seeing them get pulled over when the white kids wouldn't get pulled over and things like that. And so that kind of gave me a passion for civil rights, especially seeing the police and the stuff that was going on. And then I went to college there. I went to a small school in Grand Rapids, and then I went out to Washington, D.C. for law school, kind of got out of my bubble. And
So I was going to ask you about that. I want to just back up a little bit, back to the, so I read in your story, we're going to feature you soon, on the Instagram, Facebook feed, and on our LinkedIn, if you so wish, you would, as a kid, they would tell you not to argue, against opinions you don't agree with. So what is that all about?
Yeah, I mean, I went to I had nuns and stuff, man. It was strict Catholic school, and it was be quiet, use your inside voice. Here's all the rules. Keep your shirt tucked in. Do this, do that, and I wasn't good at that, man. I was always I was arguing. I didn't just take things at face value. People would tell me things. I said that doesn't make sense, or what about this? What about that? And I think that makes me a good litigator now.
Yeah.
Those qualities of questioning things, not accepting things at face value. It got me in a lot of trouble though when I was a kid part of the reason I got booted, but here we are, you know.
Yeah, and I love these stories and like your story about how you went into like the inner city school after you got kicked out of like was it Catholic school, and
Yeah.
and you developed like this sense of equality, and then you actually made part of your life's purpose to like do civil rights. I think that's incredible. So you went to college, as you said, in Grand Rapids. So tell me, what made you want to go to DC so bad, to law school, or just to be out of the Grand Rapids area that you knew so well?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just I had been there my whole life, man, in this kind
Yeah,
of small conservative bubble. Hadn't been out that much. Hadn't really seen the world. Hadn't gotten out of this, and I saw myself. I said, if I don't go, like, I'm just going to be here for the rest of my life. And there's nothing wrong with that, but to like broaden my perspectives, like maybe I would come back, maybe not. But I wanted to get out, and DC seemed like a great place to study law. The Supreme Court's there. There's all this different people from all over the
yeah,
world who are there, so it's a super international place to be, and
yep.
it just seemed exciting. I managed to get into a good school there, and I jumped on the opportunity and I moved out there.
Oh, that's awesome. That's and you did a lot of good things there. You clerked and you worked on Capitol Hill, right? Like what were
Yeah.
those experiences like? I mean, that had to be sort of an eye opener, like then compared to what you were used to.
Yeah, I originally thought, well, maybe politics would be cool to go into, but after working in it, I realized I just wanted to be a lawyer, you know. But I
Yeah.
worked down on the hill, so I'd go down. It was cool, you know, like a couple times a week, I'd be right down the Capitol. You see the senators and the pages and stuff, and everybody out there. And I worked for a lobbying group called Safari Club. It was just this like wild group that was advocating for like safari rights and stuff. I
Wow.
mean, it wasn't like a personal interest of mine or anything, but it was just an opportunity, and it paid well, and I did that. And then I also I did a lot of trial advocacy
Right,
classes
right,
because
right.
I knew I wanted to be a trial lawyer. And we had this judge. His name was Michael Mason. He was from Maryland. He was a prominent circuit court judge. He ran the complex civil litigation docket in Montgomery County, and I was a 3L. And he had this kind of cool law clerk who got drunk one night and was a jiu-jitsu master, dude. I'm
Oh
not making
no.
this up. And his brother-in-law was in town, and he was showing him jiu-jitsu. And jiu-jitsu, you use these like swords and all this stuff.
Oh, jeez.
He sliced his hand off.
What?
So yeah, like drunk one night. This is the law clerk. So the judge didn't know what to do. He was without a law clerk for like a month. And while this guy was in the hospital and rehab, and he asked me, he said, John, he said, I know this is what you want to do. Will you come and be my law clerk for the rest of the term? And I said, sure, I don't know what I'm doing. So I was like, I got lucky. I was a law clerk before I was even supposed to be, right? Because I didn't have my license yet.
Yeah.
So I clerked for him, and I got to see trials.
Wait, so
And
he like sliced his whole hand off.
yeah, it was like hanging. They like tried to they like put it back together. It was like Frankenstein.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, man, it was messed up. Like I never
Wow.
saw him again.
Yeah, I was
Like
gonna
he
say
was
we
like,
need an update on this guy. All right. So you got to do that. That's a great opportunity for you. It wasn't quite like I know you were really into like trial ad, so it wasn't really that sort of thing. But that's it's always a good experience to clerk, right?
yeah, it was great because I got to meet a bunch. Here's the great thing about clerking at a district or circuit court level. You get to meet all the lawyers. You get to see what's going on. You get to see how the judges think, and you get to see what works and what doesn't. And you can hear the judge talk about like, man, this guy sucks, or man, this guy's a really good advocate. Like you should model after this. So I was exposed to that there, and I also then clerked after that. After I graduated, my first job was in Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
So
Were
I
you so
moved to
you were looking for jobs in Detroit? What made you say I want to go back?
after 3 years of being in the district, I just wanted to come home. I
Yeah.
didn't necessarily want to come back to Grand Rapids. I was open to it, but I just was ready, man. I don't know, my family is here. I just had like kind of a calling to come home.
Yeah.
And I took my first job. It was at the Michigan Supreme Court. That was my first like lawyer job.
That's amazing. Yeah. So like, do you think there's something to be said? Like you go away for a few years and then like for being that attorney, like in your home, I mean, I know you said you not necessarily Grand Rapids, but to be that attorney in your home state and to sort of maybe, what you do, like know that you can help the people like a lot. You can help them a lot. These people who are wronged, either with civil rights, employment, personal injury. I mean, is there something said for doing that in your home state, would you say?
Yeah, man. I think for sure. Like there's, Michigan's home to me. It's been good to me. I want to be good to Michigan, and I practice in other states too. But I mean, look, Detroit's always going to be home, no matter what.
Gotcha.
So
what advice, John, would you have for like a young lawyer?
Okay, my best advice is figure out what you love to do and figure out a way to do it. Because one thing I see with so many lawyers now is it's like, okay, I got this job and this job pays like $3,000 more. So I'm just going to take the one that pays $3,000 more.
Right.
Without thinking about like long-term, like $3,000 might seem a lot when you're getting out of law school. Maybe it's 10,000. I don't know. But you got to figure out like where your heart is and then get experience in that field. And then you can pivot. But like for me, I love torts. I love being a litigator.
Yep.
I love courtrooms. And so I figured out a way to get experience doing those things. I mean, if you think bankruptcy is the worst thing in the world, don't take a bankruptcy job because it's going to pay you a little bit more money,
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I mean, sometimes people, that's their only option, like it's hard to find, what you want to do. Like, what would you tell somebody who's having a difficult time finding what they want to do in the law?
Well, you mean if you don't know what you love, or if you
know what you love, like there are people out there who might want to do civil rights or they might want to do entertainment, and those things might be particularly hard to get work at, like get cases. So how would you?
Yeah, I mean, my thing is don't give up, dude. So my first job after Michigan Supreme Court, I worked for a very famous national attorney named Jeffrey Feiger. Jeffrey Feiger represented Jack Kevorkian. You see him on TV, on Netflix. He's on like the courtroom, famous trials. He did the Jenny Jones trial. So Feiger just didn't give me a job.
Yeah.
And I started early. I wrote this guy letters when I was in law school years before and said, I want to come work with you someday. This is what I want to do. Do you have any advice? I was writing Jerry Spence. I was writing it. And then even when I was right before I got the job, I kept calling him. I said, this is what I want to do. And you're the best in Michigan. How do I get in? And he wouldn't even meet with me, dude.
Yeah.
So
wow.
I just kept hitting it. Finally, I talked to his partner. His partner brought me in for an interview, and the rest is history. But the point of the story is it didn't come easy. It wasn't just shooting a resume out. It was dedication and like perseverance. So you just got to keep doing it. You just got to keep hitting it. It's hard work. Being a lawyer is hard work,
Yeah, no, for sure. That's good advice. So like, John, tell me, when does an attorney know that it's time to start their own firm?
Dude, that is one of the hardest questions, I think, you never know. Okay. I don't even think when you know, right? So some people start right off the bat. I think it's nice to be able to go and work with someone who's good. And like the first years that you're doing it, it's the most important, because if you're learning from a bozo, you're going to learn some of the bozo stuff, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But if you learn from,
how do you know it's a bozo? I mean, like you're like a first year attorney, and like the guy, because attorneys are very confident. I mean, he could be the biggest bozo, but he could be confident. So like, it's very deceiving, right?
Yeah, ask judges.
Okay.
Okay. Ask judges, ask people, ask neutral people, ask your mediators. Find some like people who are connected, ask people at the bar association who run it. Find people who are in positions who are like neutral, like supposedly like a judge or a facilitator or something, mediator, and ask them what they think. But
Okay.
results speak for themselves too. It depends what you want to do.
Okay. So let's sort. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
So let's sort of amend that question a little bit. What advice do you have for an attorney starting their own firm?
Yeah, you got to be ready for a long haul. You got to be ready not to make, especially like if you're doing personal injury contingency work.
Yeah.
You're not getting paid for years. I mean, when I first started my firm,
Wow.
I didn't expect to make $1 for at least over a year, and I was lucky because I had clients. But I would recommend that you have a nest egg, and you got to be ready to work hard. You got to be ready to go all in. It's not easy, and then all the little things add up, like costs here, like
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh, I need to get a phone system. I
Yeah.
need to
I
get a
mean,
printer.
don't you have to put out costs for the client too? I mean, it's got to be a fortune.
Yeah, you have to put up costs for the client. If you have a criminal practice or a more steady cash flow practice, I think that it's a little easier to start out. But if you're going to do personal injury or whatever, make sure that you have a good flow of business, right? Because getting business is hard, especially when you're young.
Could you so like I used to think like if I did personal injury, like, and you need some stuff coming in, right? Because obviously, like you say, it takes a while. You might not get paid for a year. What if you like had a little DUI shop, like in the like DUI personal injury? That way, you get paid like X amount of dollars every case you took on, or like landlord tenant, which I do have experience in.
Yeah, for sure. You could do that and mix it in. So like I got a buddy right now here in
You have
Michigan.
something, right? You have something
You have
coming.
something coming in, right? Or you partner with someone who can run the criminal. I know guys who, one partner does all the criminal, he brings in the steady money, and then another partner does like the big hits. He knows like it's going to come and go. I have another buddy right now who's like a great criminal lawyer here in Michigan. He's starting out new, and he approached me and said, "Look, I got some cases. I could just refer them to you, Marko. But what I want to do is I want to work on them with you. Okay, well, it'll be the same deal, but I want to work on them with you so I know how to do this so I can get into the field." So he's maintaining his criminal practice,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna work on a couple big civil cases together so he can see the nuts and bolts from start to finish. That's a great thing to do, man. Anytime you're
Yeah,
learning
no,
a
that's
new,
amazing. And you can give them 10% and you take 90, right? No, I'm just kidding.
I would bust him like a,
No, but that's great. That's really cool. I mean, that's when you could set that up, that arrangement, super cool. And that's actually,
experience,
really,
man. It's the
what's that?
experience. The experience is
Yeah,
priceless. So like
I know.
once he learns how to do that, then the next case, maybe he doesn't need me. I'm sorry to say,
Right.
but that it's getting that experience that's the hard thing.
Yes, it really is. It's hard, because a lot of job postings out there, they want somebody with like 3 years experience, but like, where do you get the 1 to 3 years experience? So no, I think that's great. So John, tell me like your most influential lawyer in your life.
That'll be Jeffrey Feiger for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Jeffrey's like the most prominent trial lawyer in Michigan. Like even this year, the guy has hit multiple 8-figure verdicts, and he's like over 70 years old. I think he's tried
Really?
I think he's tried probably like 7 massive cases this year already. I mean, that's a lot, man. That's almost like once a month.
Yeah.
And hit for like 100 million in Iowa. But
Wow.
he kind of taught me from a young age, like the really what's important and how to be a good lawyer, how to be aggressive, work hard, and was kind of a mentor to me. So he's for sure been the most influential. Plus, he was my first paycheck after I went out of government service. So I got to work on crazy, exciting cases that I had no business touching as a young lawyer. Like wrongful death, police shootings, and we had a mine collapse case in West Virginia. Wow. I mean, just like crazy big cases. That was a great exposure for me.
Okay. Wow. No, that's crazy. So why did you get into civil rights work along with the personal injury?
So I think that goes back to my high school experiences.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And seeing how the police treated different populations differently. The black kids were treated differently than the white kids. Seeing kind of like the poverty and like the different world, like of an inner city school. I mean, I went from, like a fancy school to like going through metal detectors on my way in with like security guards everywhere and stuff. So, and I just saw kind of the disparity. So that became like a passion of mine, and seeing like how the government can abuse its power, and like you're helpless. I mean, these people don't have a voice. When you have the power of the government coming down on you, it's overwhelming. So, and maybe that goes back to my issues with authority, like as a kid, like I was always kind of pushing back against an authority that I thought was unfair. Yeah. And so I think that's given me the drive, and it's good work, man. It really is. It's hard work.
But, no, I mean, it's hard. Yeah. And it's cool that you can connect the dots and you have like a personal reason that you're there doing it. I mean, I think that's terrific. So what is like the biggest employment verdict in Michigan history?
So that's my verdict.
It is. That's okay. My verdict. Wow. Yeah. Tell us about that. When was this?
That was 2019 in Flint, Michigan. And for those Flint's where the water crisis was.
The water, yeah.
It was a manufacturing hub for General Motors and stuff, but it's a very impoverished city now. And they're going through some rough times, especially, and then you had the water crisis. So I represented a couple from the Michigan Department of Corrections employees. One of my male employee was his name was Cedric. He was a deputy warden, which is like a vice warden, of the prison.
Yep.
And his wife was a probation officer, and his wife was horribly discriminated against because they moved. They had to move up north, and northern Michigan is not like Detroit. Northern Michigan is like the boonies, right? It's like mostly white.
Yeah.
It's a different world. So horribly discriminated against. And then when he complained about how his wife was being treated, he was fired.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I saw that. That's on your website. I mean, that's like a great piece that you have there. I mean, it's not obviously it's a very sad, like sort of disappointing story, but the way that you handled it was pretty good. So
yeah, thanks. It was the hardest trial I've ever done because it was 41 witnesses. I was by myself because I had just started a new firm, and it was just me, and I had an assistant, and I was literally in a hotel in Flint for 5 weeks.
Oh,
and I'm like, and all my money's in this case, and I'm like, if I lose this case, what's going to happen? But we were just affirmed on appeal 2 weeks ago by the Court of Appeals.
So like what happens? Like you win this big like judgment, and then you have to like wait to see if you actually get the money because like they're going to appeal. Is that how that happens?
Yeah, dude, it's been 5 years and I still haven't gotten paid.
That's crazy.
I got probably over $200,000.
Why do we do this? Like, why do lawyers do this?
You have to love it, man, and you have to be committed. I mean, it's crazy. If I
mean, you win a trial, and then like you're like, yeah, we won all this dough, and well, more than all this dough, and then you're like, but they're going to appeal it, and so we might not win all this dough, right? Is that kind of like what it is?
Yeah,
as a very simplified version. Yeah.
Yeah, then you can get nothing. I mean, that's why like plaintiff's work is hard work. Like people who are like, oh, you just, it's easy and you're just rolling. It's not like that, man. And it's especially hard when you're starting out because like that could be the one case, right? So like if you lose, it could be like disaster. And if you win, it could be like it changes your whole life. But day by day, things can change. Now, though, in my career, like I have enough and I have enough people and I have enough cases that like if I lose one case, yes, it's gonna sting, but it's not gonna ruin my business.
So where does settlement come in? Like people will be like, let's just settle this one. Is that like
Yeah, I mean sometimes, sometimes along the way it's like let's try to settle and let's try to you go to facilitations or mediations and you try to work it out. But that case was zero offer.
Yeah.
And they said zero. So there was like no, so you're in right before trial, like, come on guys, what's your offer? Zero. Okay, that makes it easy. Right. Zero. Right. I'm going to trial. I have a trial in 3 weeks. It's zero offer. That's the easy. It makes it easy, man. The hard time are when they're like, we got $2 million on the table, Marko. Take it or leave it. Right. That's hard to turn down, man. To look at your client,
yeah,
and say we could get nothing, and if we lose, you just left all this.
Right. So it's sort of ultimately up to the client, right? You got to like ask the client to see if that's the thing. So
always up to the client. But I mean, my clients are looking to me, to tell them what the good advice is. What should we do?
For sure. So what's the hardest part about your practice? And then why don't you tell us together with that, the best part of your practice?
Yeah, I think the hardest part of my practice is the managing of a law firm that's not practicing, like personnel stuff and administrative stuff and, bills and just all that stuff. That is a drain. It is a shit because that's not what I want to do.
I mean that's why you hire people. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to go into HR and all that stuff. But you're right. You got to find good people because, a great businessman and lawyer said, listen, you can be a great lawyer, you can be a great businessman, or you can be a great marketer. You can't be all three.
Right.
And so they're like, you got to pick what you're good at. So but for me, I just want to practice. And that's the best part, like there's nothing better than, I took a deposition this week and I like crushed it. And it was like, I had kind of a rough week because I was dealing with all this other headache. And that was like, okay, this is exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like,
right.
That was awesome. I was pumped up for the rest of the day and helping people, and it's not just about me crushing people. It's about, helping people, making a difference in people's lives. Yeah. Like some of my clients, they're my friends for the rest of my life.
That's amazing. That's how it should be. I mean, you help them in like the most vulnerable time, the most difficult time in their life. Like they should be like, that's incredible. But I say that should be because I don't think that's how it is for a lot of attorneys, but I don't know. I could kind of see that happening with you, like you sort of, you seem like an approachable person who would really care and, stay in touch with your clients.
Yeah, I mean, that's what else do we have, man? I mean, it's and effectively represent them, like you said, like I'll go to my client's house before a trial. Yeah. I want to know like about their dog, and because if you really understand your client, you can deal with all the stuff they throw at you because they don't really understand your client.
Yeah, no, for sure. So tell us about Trial Lawyers University. Love that shirt you got on. Maybe they'll swap a shirt like for a Lawyer Story shirt or something because I think it's kind of cool and it looks comfortable and I think it carries a lot of prestige. So let's hear it.
Yeah, man. Look, I'll wear a Lawyer Story shirt, man. Send me one.
Oh, cool. All right.
I got it. So this is a vintage one. This is the 2021.
All right.
Yeah, there's gray ones this year, but this is still the OG one. So Trial Lawyers University was invented by a guy named Dan Ambrose, who's actually from Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
Shout out to Dan. And I met Dan before he even started this national university. But Dan was putting on lawyer focus groups and like lawyer talks. So he would go around the country and then have like, he'd come to Detroit and it would be like all the Michigan trial lawyers who are really interested in learning how to be better in the courtroom and better at this would attend and had rent out a hotel or something, right?
Right.
But then what happened, dude? COVID. So COVID happened. Dan started doing virtual Trial Lawyers University, and it took off. I mean, there's thousands of people. And now that COVID's done, once a year, they throw a massive it's called Trial Lawyers University Live. It's in Las Vegas. It's at the end of October this year. If you're interested in going, you can go to TLU Live. That's TLUlive.com. Okay. And they have it's at the Mandalay Bay, dude, and they bring in lawyers from all over the country who come in, and then they have different tracks. So you want to learn about employment, come to my track, because I'll speak. Then there'll be other employment attorneys.
So you're a speaker at Trial Lawyers University.
Yeah, okay. I'm a speaker. There's some of the biggest attorneys from around the country, like Nick Rowley, Freed, Paris, like all these guys, all the like biggest verdict guys from all over. Jeffrey.
You guys have fun? I mean, besides speaking and stuff, do you have fun like at night?
Yeah, of course we do, man. There's parties every night.
I know, I'm just kidding. I just want to hear about the parties too.
No, we go to the conference during the day. You can kind of pick or choose your conferences, and then we go party. Good. And we have a good time. And you'll meet a lot of lawyers. You get a lot of networking. So it's good. I'll be there this year, 2022.
That's great.
It's Halloween, man. So you can you bring a costume because we'll dress up one night for the Halloween party.
There you go. That's awesome.
I hope to see you there.
All right. I don't know. It does sound cool. I mean, I would like to check out these things more often. I'm trying to get out of my little shell here in central Massachusetts and go see the people that I actually have on the podcast and that I've actually featured on Lawyer Stories, because I think they'd be a lot of fun to meet and hang out with. So yeah,
for sure, man. You can do a Lawyer Stories booth.
I might. We could talk about that for sure. Is there anything else, any other like advice you want to give to us, or anything you want to say to the Lawyer Stories community? I know we covered a lot.
Yeah, I think, and I know this is like cliche as hell, but like follow your heart. Yes. Like figure out what you want to do and figure out a way to be successful at it, and you will. And then you will be successful if you do things that you really love doing.
That's awesome. I love that. Thank you so much, John, for being here on the Lawyer Stories podcast. I had a lot of fun talking to you. And everybody else there listening in, wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves.